What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I am fresh off of San Diego Comic-Con, and today we're taking a look at this Marvel Legends Snap 3-pack. That's right, Shanna, Rogue, and Sauron. So let's see what we've got going on. Let's check it out. As promised, today we'll be taking a look at this Gamerverse Snap 3-pack from Marvel Legends. This was your Comic-Con exclusive. It's out there. It's going up for limited pre-order on Hasbro Pulse in a few days, I do believe. So if you've missed out, fear not. There will be a chance for you yet. We've got Shanna the She-Devil. Sauron's in the middle there. Rogue on the other end. Looking pretty good. Packed in here, you've got extra hands, you've got a set of spears, a set of knives, you've got a rifle over there. Sauron has some power set effects. So you're feeling pretty decent, right? It's two figures and a Build-A-Figure essentially. Which, hey, look, I get it. Any way to eliminate bath waves, right? Or whatever we're doing these days. This will be the second Sauron in my collection, but that's okay. I've got a villain spot. I'm building out the Savage Land. Make it work. These are good problems to have, I suppose, when you're just building out these displays. Let's take a look at the back. Flip it to the back. We get a good look at the Snap-inspired art here, right? Now, I have no connection to this Snap game. Doesn't mean anything to me, but I'm sure it means something to a lot of you out there. I don't know that this 3-pack means anything. We may not be intersecting on our crossroads here with this, but hey, if it gets other people into the hobby, more power to you, I suppose. I am more excited about getting some more Savage Land, and that's just what we're doing here. Shanna, Sauron, and Rogue. Some important information at the bottom. At the top of the box, you're going to get the names and logos there. So you saw Rogue, Sauron, and once again, Shanna the She-Devil. The bottom and the sides offer you a little bit in the way of artwork. There are dinosaurs on each side. You can see some bones here at the bottom. Let's get them out of the box. Fresh out of the packaging, I can understand some criticisms for this pack, right? For those of you who don't have a Sauron, this is a hostage pack, right? Sauron's locked in there. Maybe you didn't want either Rogue or Shanna the She-Devil. For those of you who have a Sauron like myself, it again could be the hostage pack, right? You only wanted these two, or you only wanted Shanna. I don't know how deep you're going into your Savage Land display, but look, we've got this 3-pack. It is a cohesive 3-pack, so I certainly appreciate that. I also appreciate the fact that we even got a Savage Land Rogue. It felt like we would certainly get Shanna after the Zabu and Khazar releases, and there were certainly rumors about an updated Sauron. I do wish, however, he came with the necklace of Garok. I feel like that would have been a welcomed and sensible decision to include that with the Sauron, right? He has some minor updates to him. Paint apps do look really good, though. I like this darker green. Let's take a closer look. Moving in closer, we can get a good look at Sauron here. So, some minor updates, right? There are newer parts on here from the more recent Lizard, some of that being actually from the original MCU Lizard. Some of the same Sauron pieces, as you might expect. Different color cloth down here, and a deeper green for the figure in general. Now you do get the eyes in here, which I feel like is just a nice touch, right? Subtle addition. Maybe some people don't want them to look like that, but for somebody who's going to have two Saurons in their display, I approve of the options. Okay, you do get your power effect here, which is kind of like jarring to look at right off the bat, but it does kind of just sit on the beak up there. In order to get the effect piece on there, you'll see there is an indentation there which will rest on the beak, and then in the nostrils you'll just kind of sit those edges and they'll pop right in, and then it sits like so. I feel like it's a good option if he's in a flying pose, he's looking down, he's using that it'll certainly add a new element to the display, as this is a new effect that we just don't have yet. A few minor upgrades on this one will be that the claws are painted, so you'll see on both the feet and the hands you do get that sort of deep brown, almost black paint on the nail area, whereas on the Build-A-Figure it was not. It was just the solid green. A lot of the same parts. I've already mentioned that. You're going to expect that to be the case. Wings are going to be the same. The only, I guess, significant difference is going to be the pinless knees, right? And the tail does appear to be a different tail. So you do have at least that going for you. Head sculpt is going to be the same. Torso appears to be the same. And then your arms are also going to be the same arms, as they are a single piece with that main portion of the wing there. Your cloth here, also the same piece. It is just now in purple, and you lose some of the additional parts like the bags that you see around there. So I feel like you'd like to see at least those pieces also included if we're reusing the same thing. Again, the necklace would have just been a nice touch. Articulation is going to be the same, and what you have to realize, if you don't have this Sauron already, the wingspan is huge, so it's going to take up a lot of space. It's going to be hard to sort of manipulate here in this space, but I'll go over some of that just to give you an idea. So the head will look down only to about there. You'll see the ball back there. The head will look up to right about there. If you start to push back a little bit more, it'll just pop right off. Your neck is a separate piece, so you do get a little bit of additional movement back and forth for that to give you some additional range. Your mandible is also articulated, so the mouth will open and you can get a great screaming pose. You do see a lot of good color in there. In the previous version, you'll see a bit darker, the teeth a little bit more to the yellow, so you can really see some good detail in here. You do have that single joint at your elbow. Your wings also do extend out a little bit here at this joint up towards the hand. You have an upper bicep cut, and you do have a hinge at the wrist. You do have that bell in the diaphragm there, so you get a lot of movement there. It is a bit older, right? So you'd like to see an update. I do feel like this is good function for Sauron, though. You have an upper thigh cut. You are double jointed pinless at the knee. Nothing at the calf there, but you do have your hinge and swivel at the ankle. Tail is a separate piece which comes unattached in the box, and that will have its own separate movement there. Up and down, you can also rotate it if you like. I do want to mention the tail is a bendy wire tail, so that allows you to maneuver it a little bit, also gives you a little extra stability if you're just going to be standing Sauron. For a quick comparison, you can get an idea here, right? You do see the reuse there. You see the color difference, right? As I said, I think I prefer this darker green. I like how that comes off. You also get some additional colorway in there, right? Some little bit of difference, whereas the legs, for instance, on the Build-A-Figure are just a solid color, so it doesn't really give itself any depth. The Build-A-Figure is going to be slightly better for me, in my opinion, just because you do get a little bit more on the cloth, the loincloth there with the bags. Maybe if you just prefer the solid red eyes, that may be something that sticks out to you between the two. So it really comes down to a lot of personal preference for these. I may still give it to the Build-A-Figure, though. I think I would, just for the minor details there. But it's close, man. It's close. Moving in closer on Rogue, we'll just talk about the head sculpt, right? I do think there is a lot that can be taken from angles, okay? Is it the best head sculpt? Nah, I don't think so, but I also don't think it's the worst, right? Like, it's not the Invisible Woman head sculpt. It's a look they were trying to get with this, I guess, sort of sultry look. And maybe it just didn't come out in picture the way that people would have preferred. And that's okay. I mean, I get it. But in hand, I really feel like it's not as bad as some of those pictures made it out to be. Like, I honestly don't mind the head sculpt, okay? You get some good wavy hair in there. Would extra head sculpts be preferred? Absolutely. Like, I'm always going to want more options for those head sculpts. Unfortunately, we don't get that here. Necklace is a nice touch there. It is a separate piece, so you can move that about. You do get the sort of tattered shirt on the arm there, which is also a separate piece, and that is the case for both. So if you don't like where they're placed, you do have a little bit of flexibility for adjustment there. The cloth, also a separate piece, so you can move that about. And again, with the sash on the leg, that is also a separate piece, so that does adjust slightly. You do have the holster for the knife here, so that will slide into there and just hangs in place. As far as the articulation, she will look down to their chin, just about touching the top of the chest. Head's only going to look back a little bit. Hair is going to be your hindering factor, but you do get some side to side, and the head will work all the way around if you need it to. Arms do move all the way around and out and up to about there. Upper bicep cut, double jointed, pinless at the elbow, hinge at the wrist. For the torso, you're only going to get the diaphragm, so you do have that dumbbell in there, gives you all that range around, but you don't get anything at the lower abdomen. You'd like to see maybe an ab crunch or even a hip swivel down there just to give you a little something else, but alas, you do not. Leg will kick up and out to there, back to there, out to there, upper thigh cut, double jointed pinless at the knee. You have a connection point here at the calf, but you don't get any rotation without forcing it. And then you do have your hinge and swivel at the ankle. For your hands, you do get a set of fists, you get a set of grabbing hands, and you get your set of open hands. Rogue also comes with a spear. Now, we've seen this spear before. I suppose it makes sense here, right, in the Savage Land, so why not? Moving over to Shanna, so some of the same elements, right? So you do have the band at the upper part of the arm there, which moves on its own. You have these cuffs at the wrist, which also will remove if you'd like to. The forearm one as well. Cloth is also a separate piece, so it is movable. Again, the knife will sit in the holster there. It's going to be the same knife for both. As far as the articulation, the head will look down to there, chin touching the top of the chest. Head's only going to look back about that far. Again, hair is your hindering factor. Head does rock and move around plenty, so you do get some pretty decent back and forth movement there. It's just the hair that limits you backwards. You do get this good wave in the hair though, so I do like that look. What I would really want from this figure though is a more expressive face. I don't feel like this really captures the look I would want for that Savage Land display. It's a good looking face sculpt, but this is really where I would want that extra. Like, if we're not going to get extra head sculpts for everybody, I understand. I would certainly just want maybe an angry or yelling head sculpt, expressive type face for Shanna to go into this pack. Arms do move all the way around. You do have that upper bicep cut, double jointed pinless at the elbow, hinge at the wrist. Same articulation scheme, right? So you get the upper torso there, nothing at the lower abdomen. Leg kicks up and out to there, back to there, out to there. Upper thigh cut, double jointed pinless at the knee. Again, there is a cut point for the boot, but without forcing it, you're not getting any movement, and hinge and swivel at the ankle. Your hands are also going to be the same set of hands. So you do have your set of fists, your open hands, and your grabbing hands. Shanna also comes with her own spear, this one I believe the same as the one with Khazar. She also comes with the rifle, although she does not have a trigger finger hand, so you may have to dig through your box of accessories or figure out a different way for her to stand with this rifle. For comparison, here she is backed up against Khazar, and these two look good together. Like I said, I am a fan that we're getting these, really building out some Savage Land stuff. It is a display that I want to build. I mean, there are tons of dinosaur action figures out there, right? So why not? Confirming, though, that is the same spear that Shanna comes with, so you can see that there. And then for a quick comparison for a more generic female Marvel Legends body, you can see here Shanna does come in a little bit taller than X Factor Jean here, who is on mostly that Shriek body. For comparison, here is Rogue backed up against what's close enough to our Outback Rogue, right? You can see they are similar in height, so I do like that we're sort of keeping that in line. They are reusing some of the same elements, right? That torso is going to be effectively the same torso articulation scheme and all. And keeping it green, because why not? Here is another Rogue comparison. This time, however, Savage Land Rogue does come out with some noticeable height. Again, fairly similar in height, but Savage Land does take the edge. To get an idea of how some head swaps might work, skin tone is going to be different, right? It just isn't going to work. That's already been pointed out. Dan, who has already talked about that, but just to give you an idea. Also, these heads are going to sit kind of loose. I mean, it doesn't sit properly. It sits a little low and definitely loose. Conversely, this one sits a little high, although the skin tone is a little bit closer. So if you have this 2-pack version and you prefer either of those heads, that could be an option for you. Alright folks, well there you have it. There is your Marvel Legends Gamerverse Snap Savage Land 3-pack featuring Shanna the She-Devil, Sauron, and Savage Land Rogue. This is a decent 3-pack. I mean, it's for a more specific audience, so I do feel like it met the mark there. It's cohesive. It all makes sense being together. I understand the criticism. I've already spoken about that. But if you're really looking for getting into the Savage Land, building out a display, this is a really good starting point. Professor X a few months ago, and then you just got to track down Khazar and Zabu. So it really is coming together. Lots of dinosaur stuff out there from other lines, right? So I really am looking forward to building out that display, because that's what the fun part of this all is, right? That other Sauron is going to go into a villain display, so it all makes sense for me at the end of the day. It's a good 3-pack though, folks. I like it. My 2 cents would be, if it's what you're looking to build out, then buy it. It's not for everybody. I've already mentioned it is specific, so do what you will with that information. I appreciate you checking out the video. Of course, you can always find me on any of these socials down here. Most importantly though, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe below. And until next time, take it easy.